Monday, June 2nd, 2025. Just got out of the anchorage at Portage Lake. About 6:30 in the morning Central Time. Since we're headed to Wisconsin today, about 7:30 here. Probably could have gotten a little earlier start today. Anchor came up. Actually not as bad as it could have been. Some weeds on the chain coming up, not much mud, a little bit of mud on the anchor. No weeds on the anchor, just on the chain. So, but still took a little while to get all that cleaned up coming up. So had pretty good couple of nights at anchor here. Weather was nice, of course, and no complications. Nothing as bad as some of the reports as far as the weeds and that sort of thing are concerned here. So anyway, headed up to Washington Island today. Supposed to have a pretty good blow out of the south, giving us a push up there, we hope. And Iowa's flight plan about 5 knots, so we've got minimum of 12 to 13 hours to get to the anchorage in Washington Harbor. So looking at probably about 7:30 this evening. If we can do a little better than that, a little earlier, of course. There's Michi. Say Michi. Well, it is Monday, June 2nd, 2025. Left the anchorage about an hour ago at 7:35 Wisconsin time. We're headed up to Washington Island today. Supposed to have a nice blow out of the southwest to southwest, which would have put us on at least a broad reach. And it was pretty calm in the lake this morning. In fact, I assumed there was probably going to be no wind. But as soon as we got out around the breakwater, all of a sudden we got blasted with 15 knots, and I'm like, all right, this might work out. And we'd no more than made our turn towards Washington Island after we got outside of the breakwater and started getting some sail on. And the wind died, and we were almost running right before it. Set up a preventer and hiked the boom way out, and with the wave action and insufficient wind, the sail was slatting all over the place, taking a beating against the rigging and everything else. So 3 options: sail off to a more westerly heading and be able to sail and take whatever the rest of the day gives us as we get it, probably running late in the day when and if the wind ever picks up. Try to mess with the light air sail. Michelle wasn't comfortable with that because it's supposed to start gusting to 20 today, and we didn't want to be asses and elbows trying to get that in if things went south very quickly. Or motor. And anyway, those were the options I gave Michelle, and she said, let's motor for a while and see if the wind improves. So that's what we're doing. And I forgot to mention that we were creeping along at 3 knots, just over, with the sails on when we decided to motor for a while. So also worth noting, that factored into our decision. Yep.
3 knots.
3 knots. Well, it's only 40 minutes later, and I'm easily duped. We started getting a pretty consistent wind, about 11-12 knots, and it had veered just a little bit, taking it a little further off our stern. So we thought, well, we'll give the jib a try. A little rocky. So we reduced the jib down to a patch. It's kind of an early warning indicator that we might be able to add some sail again. Well, so we started seeing 15 knots pretty consistently. So we shut the engine off, see how we did under the jib alone. And against my better judgment, we unfurled the main. 15 knots downwind just isn't enough to keep the sails filled in these seas. We are getting about 5.5 knots over the ground, but the seas are just beating us up with insufficient wind to keep the sails filled. Of course, I just said that, now they're not snapping as bad, so I guess we'll see. That's a pretty birdie. I suspect looking for a little place to rest. And if he wants to eat some flies, he's more than welcome.
Yes.
I might even let him poop on the deck if he ate enough flies on the deck. Oh yeah? What do you say? You don't say. You're not lost, are you? Might be a little lost. You're a long way from shore.
It's breezy.
Yep, it's a little breezy. Tossed around pretty good again, but not as bad as it was. They were starting to snap again. Anyway, yeah, the sails have taken a beating today. We've just been right on the ragged edge. not quite running before the wind, just a few degrees off of it. Of course, I didn't really want to mess with a whisker pole in seas like this. And I think the jib would be backwinded if we tried to pull it out on the other side anyway. So anyway, we're just about to cross the Welcome to Wisconsin sign. We're right in the middle of Lake Michigan. The Manitous are barely in sight over there, and that's about all that we can see of the Michigan shoreline now. And nothing on the Wisconsin side yet. And I think I will go back and hand steer a little bit. Anything to add, hon?
Nope.
We'll see if we get any footage of what it was doing a minute ago, because that was pretty impressive. Yeah.
Seems moderated.
Yeah. Not getting the big waves again, and the wind's died down a little bit again too. Well, not a lot, but we're getting 8 knots out of it before. So yeah, you can just start to make out the Door County shoreline over there. And we're only about 10 miles away from Washington Island. I can't see it yet. And, oh yeah, and you can still well, maybe not. Maybe I'm seeing things. Only just recently lost sight of the Manitous. Well, little travel update. I left my watch over there. You see what time it is? There, I can reach it. It is about 3:40. Monday, June 2nd, 2025, and actually made pretty good time. We're just entering death's door. That's Pilot Island right out here. Plum Island up ahead. And for the first time, I think I'm going to get to sail. I'm not going to say I am going to, but I think I'm going to get to sail through Death's Door. Wind's veered a little bit, so we're on a broad reach now, and still moving right along. Made pretty good time today, so the latter half of the day was pretty nice sailing. Pretty frustrating at first. We're going to go around the west side of the island, then up to Washington Harbor and anchor up there. We may motor up the west side. I don't want to jibe and then all that stuff. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see what it looks like when we get through Death's Door. I guess afterthought. I don't want to jibe, but we might wear the ship, bring it through the wind so we get the main out on the other side. I think I'll go ahead and furl the jib because I don't want Michelle up on the bow, trying to guide that between the staysail and the forestay. So anyway, I better get back to steering so we don't bump into anything in Death's Door and prove its reputation. Of course.
Turn it on.
Yep.
Want me to run it?
You can run it for a minute if you want. Yeah, we run a bunch today. It doesn't matter. It's... .3, 8.4.
Yay! There's the buoy, and it's chiming at us. I saw 8.6 earlier, and underneath the jib, well, you can't see him now, is another ferry. So not one, but two ferries.
Well, probably the last thing I'll film today, and we've filmed a lot. But this has been almost surreal. We've just been gliding up the west shore of Washington Island at, what are we doing now, about shy of 7 knots?
We were doing 7 just a second ago.
Yeah,
over 7.
Yeah, a few times over 7, and anyway, we're going to be in the lee point here pretty quick, and we're not going to beat down the bay to the anchorage. We're going to furl the main and fire up the engine and head down there. But man, it's been a really pleasant sail up the west side of the island.
No, the whole
day was pretty. Yeah, I mean, you know, once except for the troubles first thing in the morning and the occasional troubles en route when things were getting pounded. But it's been, for the most part, a pretty nice day of sailing. I mean, we've covered most of the distance from Portage Lake to Washington Island, around the west side, up to Washington Harbor, after running the engine for only 3 hours, which is pretty good, I guess. So, a little premature in all the complaining I did this morning, I guess, but anyway, yeah, really nice. But this cruise up here has been so pleasant because we've been moving right along, hardly any waves, easy to steer, haven't been fighting the helm all day, or all the way up here, that is. Been fighting it all day, but anyway, pretty cool and pretty cliffs. Okay, we're gonna get busy here pretty quick.